They sentenced him to death. They tried to erase his mind. But when an ancient alien AI woke up and saw the truth, it gave him a choice. Destroy them all, or show the galaxy something they'd never seen before, a human choosing mercy. What happens when humanity is accused of genocide they didn't commit? When the most powerful beings in the galaxy have already decided you're guilty? When they sentence you to have your mind completely erased, not death, but total erasure of everything you are? Commander Elias Vance faced exactly this. Falsely accused, betrayed by the system, with zero chance of survival. But an ancient alien artifact, dormant for 12,000 years, suddenly woke up, and it saw the truth. What happened next wasn't execution. It wasn't revenge. It was something that shocked the entire galaxy. A human proved that mercy is stronger than power. That compassion is more powerful than destruction. That true justice doesn't come from above, it comes from understanding. This is the story of how one human changed galactic civilization forever. Not by what they destroyed, but by what they chose to build instead. Welcome back to HFY Sage of Stars. This is Bearer of Justice. Commander Elias Vance, a 38-year-old human peacekeeper, stands accused of massacring 3,000 Kathari civilians on the colony world of Serra 4. Cold chains bite into his wrists as Vethroni guards drag him forward through corridors of an ancient station. The Hall of Eternal Verdict opens before him like the mouth of some great beast. This place is older than any civilization, older than the elder races themselves. No one knows who built it. The walls are made of dark stone that seems to drink light, and strange symbols cover every surface in a language no translator can read. In the center stands the Arbiter's Stone, a crystal obelisk 3 times the height of a man. Once, according to legend, it glowed with golden light and spoke with the voice of justice itself, but that was 12,000 years ago. Now it sits dark and silent, believed by most to be nothing more than a dead relic. 5 judges sit in judgment over him. High Adjudicator Serra Vance of the Frani species presides with a face as cold as her planet's frozen moons. The Zithran ambassador Cthax clicks his mandibles with what appears to be satisfaction. The Kathari, gentle beings covered in soft brown fur with large, sad eyes, sit behind their ambassador, their grief filling the air like a physical weight. The Morvac and Alindri representatives complete the tribunal. These are the species that rule the galaxy, the ones who travel the stars when humans were still living in caves. Humanity has only been part of galactic society for 200 years, and in that time has been tolerated at best, respected rarely, but never treated as equals. The evidence against Elias seems overwhelming. Holographic images appear in the air showing someone with his exact face walking through a burning colony, raising a weapon, firing into crowds of screaming Kathari. His DNA was found at the scene. His ship's logs place his vessel in orbit above Serra 4. 17 survivors point at him with tears in their eyes, identifying him as their children's killer. An elderly Kathari woman who lost her daughter and 2 grandchildren testifies with a voice breaking under the weight of her grief. When asked how he answers these charges, Elias lifts his head and says simply, "I am innocent. I was never on Serra 4. I have never harmed a civilian in my life." His advocate, Dr. Yuna Chun, fights for him with evidence of her own. She presents psychological profiles showing that Elias is a diplomat, not a soldier. His 15-year record shows 37 successful negotiations and 0 combat incidents. He has spent his life saving lives, not taking them. But Serra dismisses her evidence as desperate invention. The Zithran ambassador speaks of humanity's violent history, listing every war, every crime, every dark moment from Earth's past. He argues that humans cannot be trusted, that their emotions make them unstable, that their nature makes them killers. The tribunal has already made up its mind. Elias is sentenced to neural dissolution, complete erasure of consciousness, a fate worse than death. His mind will be wiped clean as a warning to all who would commit such crimes. As the guards force Elias to his knees before the Arbiter's Stone, a strange force pulls at him. Without thinking, he reaches out and touches the cold crystal. For just a moment, golden light flickers deep within the stone. Then the guards yank him away, and the light is gone. But something has changed. Something is waking up. In the detention cell, Yuna visits Elias in secret. She brings news that changes everything. An anonymous contact sent her a data fragment from the Syndicate servers. The clone exists. Someone made a perfect copy of Elias. Same face, same voice, same DNA. They used it to commit the massacre. But when Yuna tried to present this evidence to the tribunal, High Adjudicator Sarah refused to accept it. The stone, Yuna tells him, has been silent for 12,000 years, but according to the precursor legends, it was created to see into a person's soul and know if they were guilty or innocent. The next 2 days are a nightmare. Witness after witness comes forward to testify. Kadhari survivors describe how the killer walked through their homes, burning everything, shooting everyone. They describe how he smiled. Elias wants to scream that this is not him, that he would never smile at suffering, that he has spent his whole life trying to prevent pain. But no one listens. The Zithran ambassador continues painting humanity as a dangerous species that never should have been allowed into galactic society. The tribunal grows more convinced of Elias's guilt with each passing hour. On the 3rd day, High Adjudicator Sarah delivers the verdict. Her voice is flat and without emotion as she pronounces him guilty. Neural dissolution. His consciousness will be erased. It is the end. The Kadhari section erupts in cheers, believing justice has been served. Guards grab Elias and force him to his knees before the Arbiter's stone. This is tradition. The condemned must kneel before the ancient relic as their sentence is spoken. Sarah raises her staff to pronounce the final words when Elias's hand touches the base of the stone. He did not mean to do it. His body simply moved, pulled by the same strange force he felt from the beginning. The Arbiter's stone explodes with light. Golden fire pours from the crystal, filling the entire hall. The symbols on the walls begin to glow one by one, like stars coming to life after an endless night. The air itself vibrates with power. Everyone freezes. The elder delegates stare in horror. Even the guards release their grip on Elias and step back in fear. And then the stone speaks. The voice is not loud, but fills every corner of the hall. It is ancient. It is powerful. It speaks in all languages at once so that every being can understand. A bearer stands before me. Sarah's face goes pale. She whispers that it is impossible, that the stone has been dead for 10,000 years. But the voice continues. A bearer of justice has come. The light wraps around Elias like a living thing, moving through him, searching his mind, his heart, his soul. It examines every moment of his life, every choice he has ever made, every secret he has ever kept. And then the voice speaks again. This one carries no guilt. The true perpetrators hide among you. The hall erupts in chaos. The stone's light turns toward High Adjudicator Sarah, and she steps back as if struck. The stone's voice says, "You speak of corruption. Let us speak of truth." The air in the center of the hall shimmers, and a holographic image appears, pulled from the stone's ancient memory banks. It shows a secret meeting on a Zythron ship. Ambassador Kthax sits at a table with other beings, saying, "The human will make a perfect target. He is investigating our operations. We will use his face to commit the massacre. The Kadhari will demand war. In the chaos, we will expand our borders. We will create perfect evidence. DNA samples, ship logs, witnesses. The human legal systems are weak. They will not be able to defend him." The image shifts to a laboratory where a biosynthetic clone is being grown, identical to Elias in every way. The image shows the clone landing on Sarah 4, committing the massacre, then returning to a Zithran ship that waits in orbit. 3,000 innocent Kadhari killed not by a human, but by a machine wearing a human face, all to start a war. The hall goes silent. The Kadhari stare at the images with wide eyes, their grief transforming into understanding. Kthax tries to deny it, claiming the human has corrupted the stone somehow. But the stone's voice cuts through his protests. "I have waited 12,000 years in silence. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. I have seen every truth and every lie that has entered this hall. I see you, Kthax of the Zithran Dominion. I see the blood on your hands." More images appear. Years of Zithran crimes play out in the air. Other massacres blamed on innocent species. Bribes paid to officials across the galaxy. Secret deals to destabilize governments. The Zithran have been manipulating galactic politics for centuries, always from the shadows, always blaming others. The stone's light turns to High Adjudicator Sarah. "You knew," the voice says. "You saw the evidence that the human advocate presented. You knew it was true, but the Zithran paid you well. They gave you technology. They gave you power. And in exchange, you buried the truth." Sarah tries to speak, but no words come out. The light around Elias grows brighter. He feels power flowing through him, terrifying and beautiful at the same time. With a thought, he could destroy everyone in this room who wronged him. The Zithran ambassador, the corrupt judge, everyone who lied, everyone who tried to erase his mind and let murderers go free. He can feel the temptation. After everything they have done to him, would anyone blame him for wanting revenge? The stone asks, "Bearer, the power is yours. The guilty stand before you. What is your judgment?" Elias looks at his hands glowing with golden light. He looks at Kfax trembling in the corner. He looks at Sarah frozen with fear. He looks at the Kadhari survivors waiting to see what will happen. And then he looks at Yuna Chun standing at the edge of the hall. She watches him with steady eyes. She does not look afraid. She looks like she trusts him. Elias takes a deep breath and says, "I will not be an executioner." The stone pulses. Elias continues, "Justice is not about punishment. It is about truth. It is about accountability. It is about giving people a chance to rebuild. If I kill them, I become what they accused me of being. I become a murderer." He turns to face the tribunal, the beings who condemned him, the beings who wanted to erase his mind. "I choose to expose them instead. Let the galaxy see what they have done. Let their own people judge them. Let the truth speak for itself." The stone is silent for a long moment. Elias can feel it thinking, considering, judging his judgment. Then it speaks again, and its voice is different, softer, almost surprised. "The architects believed justice required destruction. The bearer has shown them wrong. Humanity's justice is greater." The light in the hall changes. It is still bright, but it is no longer threatening. It feels like dawn breaking after a long night. The stone says, "So be it. Let truth be shown." Every screen in the galaxy lights up with the evidence of the Zithran conspiracy. The broadcast reaches every corner of the galaxy in seconds. Billions of beings watch as the Zithran conspiracy unfolds before their eyes. They see the secret meetings. They see the creation of the clone. They see the real footage of the Seraph 4 massacre not committed by a human, but by a machine built by the Zithran Dominion. They see decades of hidden crimes. Other species framed for murders they did not commit. Governments destabilized. Wars started so that the Zithran could expand their power while pretending to be innocent. In the Hall of Eternal Verdict, the Arbiter's stone holds its light steady as the truth pours across the stars. Ambassador Kethax falls to his knees. His clicking voice has gone silent. His black eyes stare at nothing. Everything he has built, everything his people have schemed for is collapsing. He whispers, "Please, I was following orders. The Dominion Council demanded results. I had no choice." Elias looks down at him. The golden light still swirls around his body, giving him the power to destroy this creature with a thought. Part of him wants to. Part of him remembers the footage of burning children, the tears of the survivors, the chains on his wrists. But he has made his choice. Elias says, "Everyone has a choice. You chose power over innocent lives. Now you will face the justice of your own people." Messages flood in from across the galaxy. The Zithran homeworld is in chaos. Citizens who believed their government was honest now see the truth. Military officers who followed orders without question now understand what they have been supporting. Within hours, the Dominion Council is arrested by their own people. The Zithran Empire does not fall, but will change forever. High Adjudicator Sarah tries to speak, her voice coming out as a croak. She says the tribunal was deceived, that they did not know. But Elias replies, "You were not deceived. You were paid. Dr. Chen showed you evidence that the clone existed. You buried it because the Zithran promised you power." Sarah's pale face crumbles. She has spent her whole life building a reputation for fairness and wisdom. Now every being in the galaxy knows she is a fraud. She whispers, "I will resign. I will face whatever punishment the tribunal decides." Elias replies, "That is not for me to decide. Your people will judge you. That is how it should be." An elderly Kadhari woman rises from her seat. Her fur is gray with age, and she moves slowly, leaning on a carved wooden staff. Elias recognizes her from the trial. She had been one of the witnesses who identified him. She had lost her daughter and 2 grandchildren on Seraph 4. She walks toward him, and the guards move to stop her, but Elias raises his hand, and they step back. The old woman stops in front of him. For a long moment, she just looks at his face, the same face that has haunted her nightmares, the face she believed belonged to her family's killer. She says softly, "I hated you. I wanted you to suffer. I wanted to watch them erase your mind and know that justice had been done." Elias nods and says, "I understand. I am sorry for what you lost. I am sorry that I could not save them. The old woman reaches out and touches his hand. The golden light does not harm her. It seems to welcome her. She says, "You carry the weight of those you could not save. You understand loss. You understand why I needed someone to blame. Why we all did." Elias replies, "Yes." She is quiet for a moment, and then she does something that shocks everyone in the hall. She bows to him. She says, "Thank you. Not for revenge, but for truth. Now we can grieve properly. Now we can heal." One by one, the other Kathari survivors rise and bow. They have lost everything, but they have gained something precious. They know what really happened. They know who is truly responsible. And they know that justice, real justice, is being served. Elias feels tears on his own face. He has been prepared to die. He has been prepared to have his mind erased. He has not been prepared for this. The stone's light begins to dim. Not because it is dying again, but because its work is done. The truth has been revealed. The guilty have been exposed. What happens next is up to the beings of the galaxy to decide. But before it goes quiet, the stone speaks one last time. It asks, "Bearer, you have proven that justice does not require destruction. But the work is not finished. There will be other lies, other conspiracies, other innocents who need someone to speak for them." Elias looks up at the ancient crystal and asks, "What are you asking me to do?" The stone replies, "I ask nothing. I offer. The bond between us will remain. When truth is needed, call upon me. When justice is threatened, I will answer. And if you refuse, then I will sleep again and wait for another." Elias thinks about his life before all this. The quiet work of a peacekeeper. The simple satisfaction of helping people solve their problems without violence. He has never wanted power or fame. But he thinks about the Kathari survivors. He thinks about the other species the Zithran framed. He thinks about all the innocents across the galaxy who have no one to speak for them. He has been given a gift. A terrible, wonderful gift. And he knows what he has to do with it. He says, "I accept." The stone pulses warmly, and Elias could swear he feels it smile. The light fades and the hall is quiet. The Arbiter's stone stands dark once more, but not dead. Sleeping, perhaps waiting. 6 months pass. Elias stands at the window of the new Hall of Justice, looking out at the stars. The station has been rebuilt, expanded, and renamed. It is no longer just a courthouse for the powerful. It is a beacon for anyone who needs truth. Behind him, the Arbiter's stone rests in its new chamber, quiet most days, sleeping peacefully. But Elias can feel it in the back of his mind, a warm presence, always watching, always ready. Yuna Chun walks in wearing the uniform of the Investigative Corps, the new organization she has built from nothing. Her team has agents on 50 worlds now, hunting down the last remnants of the Syndicate, exposing corruption wherever they find it. She tells Elias that the Zithran trials are finished. Ambassador Kethax will spend the rest of his life in prison. Most of the Dominion Council received similar sentences. A few were executed by their own people. Sarah has been exiled. She will never hold power again. Her own species stripped her of everything. Some would say she got off easy, but Yuna notes that her own people made that choice. Elias replies, "That is how it should be. Justice should come from within, not from above." Yuna smiles slightly and asks if he really believes that. Elias turns from a window and says, "The stone gave me power. But power without wisdom is just violence. If I had executed everyone who wronged me, what would have changed? Someone else would have risen to take their place. The system would have stayed broken. And now the system is changing. Slowly, painfully, but changing. The revelation of the Zithran conspiracy has shaken the galaxy to its core. Species that trusted the elder races now question everything. Old alliances crumble. New ones form. The tribunal has been reformed with representatives from dozens of species, including humanity. For the first time in history, humans sit as equals in the highest court of the galaxy. But more than politics has changed. The way beings think about justice has changed. Elias has received millions of messages in the past 6 months. Some are thank you notes from species the Zithran wronged. Some are requests for help from innocents who have been falsely accused. Some are simply questions from beings trying to understand what happened. Why did you choose mercy? They ask. Why did you not destroy them? Elias answers each one the same way. Because destruction is easy. Healing is hard, and the hard path is usually the right one. He has been training others, human and alien alike, in the philosophy of mercy-tempered justice. He cannot be everywhere. He cannot solve every problem, but he can teach others to carry the torch. A young Morvax named Trick has shown particular promise. So has an Elendri called Saras. And there are humans too, dozens of them who have come from Earth to learn what Elias has to teach. On their first day, he tells them, the galaxy is watching. They expect us to fail. They expect humans to be violent and emotional and short-sighted. Prove them wrong. Show them that our emotions are not weaknesses. They are the very things that let us understand justice in ways cold logic never could. His students have taken those words to heart. Already they are making a difference across dozens of worlds. A soft pulse comes from the Arbiter's stone. Elias walks over to it and places his hand on the cool crystal. He says quietly, "You are still here." The stone replies, "I am always here. The bond between us will last until your death, and perhaps beyond." Elias asks, "Do you ever regret choosing me, a human of all beings?" The stone says, "Regret is a strange concept to me." But no, the architects hoped for a species that could balance logic and compassion. They did not know if such a species could exist. You have shown that it can. Elias smiles and asks, "What do you think the precursors would say if they could see this? If they could see what their seed grew into?" The stone is silent for a moment. When it speaks again, there is something almost like wonder in its voice. I believe they would say, "Well done." Later that evening, Elias walks through the public levels of the station. Beings of all species fill the corridors, some visiting the Hall of Justice, others simply living their lives. A few recognize him and nod with respect. Most do not know his face. He prefers it that way. In a small observation deck, he finds a young Kathari child staring out at the stars. She is maybe 5 or 6 years old with soft brown fur and enormous curious eyes. Her mother stands nearby, watching her daughter with a gentle smile. The child points at a distant ship and asks, "Mama, is that the human ship? The one who saved everyone? The one who could destroy the bad people, but didn't?" The mother looks at Elias. Recognition flickers in her eyes. But she says nothing to give him away. She kneels beside her daughter and says, "Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is not hurt someone, even when they hurt you. It takes more courage to heal than to destroy." The child tilts her head and says, "That sounds hard." The mother replies, "It is hard. That is what makes it special." The child thinks about this for a moment, then nods seriously. "I want to be like that when I grow up. Strong and kind." Elias watches them quietly. He does not interrupt. He does not need to. This is why he made his choice. Not for monuments or titles or power, but for moments like this. Small, quiet moments where a child learns that kindness is stronger than cruelty. The galaxy had declared him guilty. They had tried to erase his mind. They had called humans dangerous and emotional and unworthy of trust. And when he was given ultimate power, he proved them wrong. Not by destroying his enemies, but by showing them a better way. Elias turns from the observation deck and walks back toward the Hall of Justice. The stars stretch endlessly around him. They are filled with 1 billion worlds and 1 trillion beings, each with their own struggles and hopes and fears. He cannot save all of them. He cannot judge all of them. He cannot be everywhere at once. But he can try, and that is enough. Humanity had been judged by the galaxy and found guilty of being too wild, too emotional, too unpredictable. They had been dismissed as a young species that would never amount to anything important. Now the galaxy understood the truth. Those were never flaws. They were gifts. And the bearer of justice was just the beginning of what humanity could be. But this is just the beginning. Elias's journey doesn't end here. The real work is teaching others. Rebuilding a galaxy corrupted by conspiracy. Proving that humanity's weakness, emotion, compassion, mercy, is actually our greatest strength.